Welcome to episode 296 of the Bear Trap on the Boom and Bust channel, Bears podcast by a Bears fan. I'm your host, Terry, and today doing a recap / reaction to the Packers loss, to the playoffs, all that. We're going to do a live call-in section, but nobody called in. So, hey, that's how it go. People got a lot to say until you give them a chance to say it. Interesting. But anyway, so as far as the Packers, just jumping into this, I would say I was slightly pleasantly surprised by how we played. Also slightly not surprised by how we played. I was surprised at how how competitive we were against Aaron Rodgers, if that's the word to say. He didn't look, not that he was bad, but he didn't look as crisp and on point as he is usually, especially against us. And that's saying something with, your backup corner. Actually, well, your starter's a rookie, but your rookie backup corner, and then your backup nickel, and then Roquan got hurt. So, all that goes into it. But at the same time, I would say that it was interesting to see that, I don't know what we did. I wouldn't say, again, it wasn't like it was massively like they threw him off. I just don't think he was as on point as usual. And so that was interesting. I'm interested to go into the film and kind of see what happened there. But on the other side, us as the, as the underdogs to this game, we pretty much got what, more than what you could ask for. We got pretty much the perfect layout for this game given to us, and we didn't capitalize on it. And so what we're talking about, the short fields and some of those breaks that we got, we didn't really capitalize on it. And that's not really surprising. That's kind of been our MO. But as I've said this year, last year, that what I see on film from this team is a team that with the right breaks, they can compete with most teams. And that's what we saw on Sunday, but we still didn't finish it. And so, being able to start with a short field like that, and the offense to capitalize, that was huge. And, you leaned on the run game, and it carried us pretty much to that score. And then I would say throughout the game, it was pretty good. And the defense, again, not great, but they were somewhat playing against the offense. And so what really failed us, as much as people might not want to admit, is Mitch Trubisky in those moments where we needed him. And again, it's not to say he didn't do anything or was completely useless, but in those big moments where he needed to step up, we missed it, whether it was conversions, third down, fourth down late, and a lot of red zone trips. And, I'm not that type of guy. You should know by now. I'm not about to pat people on the back for every single play. You need a full body of work for that game. And so, it's nice again that, he's able to do some things. I'm not saying he can't, but in those crucial moments, he wasn't able to get it done. And in some moments, a handful, we narrowly, missed out on really some bad plays. And so that's what it comes down to. For whatever reason, people want to defend it. I guess, but it's kind of the proof in the pudding. Overall, I think we were in position to play with the Packers because we're not built to do what they do. There's a drive or two where we show, especially with some big plays, we could move the ball. But for the most part, it's those short fields and those opportunities that we got to take advantage of when we get a break or if the defense sets us up, because most of the time we're not going to be able to sustain a long drive and turn it into points. And so when you get those opportunities being a red zone where you're going against a good team, the old saying is true. You want touchdowns, not field goals, because then you'll lose that way. And not only good teams, but a team like the Packers, where their style is they can strike fast. Like they're pretty much like the Chiefs. They can get up on you early and snowball the game, or they can get down or close for a little bit and then put up points pretty quickly. And so when you know you got that type of team, it makes it even more important that you convert those red zone trips into points, or not just points, but into touchdowns. And so, I mean, that's what we are, and that's what we've been. And so I wasn't shocked by anything that I saw. Again, I was surprised a little bit at how I wouldn't say how off Aaron was, because he still had a good game, but you know what I mean. But outside of that, it was still, pretty much what I expected. And so that game got away from us, and now we're playing the Saints in the playoffs, which was the most likely scenario. The Rams won. I mean, it's not much to say about that game. They had their backup. He looks like he might be playing in the playoffs, which, is kind of rough. But the Cardinals had Murray for a little bit. He went out, then came back in later. But by that time, the Cardinals were real thrown off. It looks like they weren't ever really in that game. And so we get in through the back door in the 7th seed, and we'll play the number 2 Saints in New Orleans. So this is a team that a lot of people were saying is the matchup we should want. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that. Not to say that we can't compete in this game, but I would much rather face the Seahawks personally. That's the one I was rooting for. But we will play New Orleans, and so you got Mike Thomas, it seems like, will be back. There's questions out there about Alvin Kamara, but I really doubt it. I mean, he tests positive at least a day before the game. So I highly doubt there goes a whole week and he doesn't get off that COVID list. So, with as much testing and stuff they got going on today, we'll see. But on the side note, that's a big test of character for the NFL that I've been waiting for when it really counts in the playoffs. How are they going to be with the COVID guidelines? But, we'll see, but I expect him back. But even without Kamara, they got weapons. Drew Brees is plenty able to do what he has to do. Obviously, Taysom Hill, they can do that. Mike Thomas coming back would be huge. But more than the weapons and everything on offense, they got one of the better defensive units in the league. Now, a couple people could look at, okay, they blew out the Vikings, but they went against the Vikings and Dalvin was still able to get down. And even with the Chiefs, they didn't really, and that's not even a big running team. They gave up a lot of yards on the ground against them. Now, throughout the season, they're ranked as one of the best run defenses, but lately you can point at that. So the question is, okay, are we going to be able to get our run game going? Because as we know, and as we've seen, that, well, hopefully now we know, because people have been acting like these last 3 weeks we world beaters. And I mean, I guess you have to physically see it if you don't really know the game. But now you see that, if you get behind, or if you stop the run, not I wouldn't say stop it, but if you are able to slow the run down, or at least get pressure on the bootleg action, that play is not going to be as successful. Especially, the Packers is a solid unit, not a great unit, but you could tell by the end of that game, it was like, okay, you could dump it down to Mooney all you want on that bootleg. He only getting a few yards, or whoever you want. And that's essentially what teams are going to do after they see that so many times. And so if the run isn't working, you're really not going to have a lot of options on that. But the second thing we see is that once you get behind in points, that whole identity, as people are calling it, it's not going to work. That whole, and I don't know why they keep calling it stretch play. We don't run stretch play a lot, but that whole inside zone, bootleg action, split zone, bootleg action, all that stuff is not going to carry you through the game if you get behind 14 points. And then Mitch Trubisky has to play. And I've said many times, you cannot hide your quarterback in the playoffs. You cannot hide your run game in the playoffs. And so we will see how that goes. Now, I would say, again, the Bears' run game was better than I thought it would be against the Packers, specifically because we were able to strike early, and it's not like we were down a lot quickly, but eventually, I think every rip we were pretty good. And I think this line overall has more power. Does. There's deficiencies in other places, but with Ifedi at tackle, Bars, and Mustapher, it's got more power. And so we've been doing good against bad teams, and so we did good against a so-so team on the ground. And against the Saints before, we showed we could run. Now, can we run at the same clip we've been doing? That remains to be seen, but confidence is a big thing. And so that's really going to be the question going in is that D-line going to be, no nonsense, or will we be able to chip away at them a little bit? Because that's going to be the question. But at the end of the day, Trubisky has to play. Unless a lot of stuff, and stuff went right for us. Like I said, the muff punt, the penalty, a lot of different things went right for us, but even still, we didn't win. So I would say unless a lot of stuff goes right for us again against the Saints, we're going to have Trubisky make some plays. And so that's going to be the question. And with their defense, I expect Marshawn Lattimore to shadow Allen Robinson, similar to what Jair did. And people were talking about Allen not getting the ball against the Packers. There's part of the reason. Now, I think Allen could still win some matchups against these corners, but you're not just going to throw 10 catches for 100-some yards against, top tier corners. But Marshawn will make it more competitive, and so we'll see how they get the ball to him. So that'll be similar too. And so, it really comes down to that run game. Again, if that run game gets slowed early and Nagy gets away from it, then it's going to be some questions that need to be answered. And then on the other side, I'm not sure. It's Monday, so we'll see. I'm not sure who we'll have available, but again, they got a lot of weapons. And so, I think it's possible, man. What they do kind of works for us. Now, there's some stuff they'll go deep on, but for the most part, Breeze ain't pushing it. But Breeze never really pushed it down the field like that. He ain't bombs away, but he ain't pushing down the field these days. Everything they like is short and underneath, and that's usually how we like to play defense. Even with Mike Thomas, he's not the same threat that Devontae Adams is. And so it's not super scary to put corners on the island. And, because the thing is with Devontae and them, if you put them on the island and try to choke to the outside and hope that linebackers give you that inside coverage, Devontae is going to burn past before a linebacker ever makes his way over there. And, he's elusive enough, but Mike Thomas ain't that exact type runner. And so I think it gives you a little more leeway, but at the same time, again, they like to play underneath a little bit, and that kind of plays better to our defense. So, hopefully we have Jalen, but overall, I think it'll be opportunities, especially with the D-line getting their hands up and batting down the ball. But overall, they have an amazing offensive line, and the run game's been churning for them lately. Now, I don't in any way expect them to go for 200 yards rushing on us. But a typical Saints game, they don't need to do that. They just need to keep it to pace the game, to keep it to pace the play actions, to pace the jets, to pace the Taysom Hill stuff. And so you have to consistently be thinking about it. And that's really, if they could get Kamara 12 touches, they can get Murray 7 to 9 touches. That feels good for them. And so, I think we have definitely a chance to stop the run early and then just rally to the ball because they're not going to bombs away on us. But if they start running the ball effectively, or if we just get too overzealous worrying about Kamara, if, we leave the flats wide open and he starts wreaking havoc like that, then they're just going to start play action into him. They're going to start faking stuff to him and going the other way. They're going to bring Taysom Hill in, and it's going to be a long day. But other than that, their regular pass game, I think, is played between 5 and 15 yards, and that's kind of what we want to do. So we'll see as we go through the week who's available from both sides and what that's going to look like. But yeah, it's going to be a test. And then I don't want to get too ahead, but the thing is, even, we went to overtime with them before. This is two different teams, in my opinion, right now. But even, if we go fight tooth and nail and we win this game, our reward would be to go to Green Bay to face the Packers again. So, tough sledding ahead, but, just focusing on this week, that's what we got. We probably won't get a chance to talk about this till after the playoffs. The rumors are Nagy's coming back. And I'm just, I've said before, but I'm going to quickly just no, absolutely not. Please no. And so, I get it. I mean, I'm fine. Cause we're in the playoffs. First of all, we're a 7 seed. That's the first time ever. Second of all, Lovey won 10 games and got fired, so they can fire Matt Nagy very easily. And so I'm still not on that train. To me, this worst case scenario that we back into the playoffs, get embarrassed, Nagy comes back because we made it in the playoffs and we extend Trubisky. That's my nightmare scenario. And so, some people are talking like that's what it's looking like now. We'll see how it all plays out, but, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go on, especially Black Monday with all these coaches moving. But to me, that would be such an idiotic move. And I already said how I feel about Pace. I mean, and funny enough, I think I said this last week, but funny enough, we're in the playoffs and, all the optimists, we're in the playoffs and, last week we're going to beat the Packers and we can beat the Saints and we could make a run in the Super Bowl and we can do all of this. But yet when I first said, we should keep Pace because I think Pace built a talented team, people went off. But now that I'm like, okay, we're not really about to make noise in the playoffs. Oh my God, what are you talking about? We got this and we do this and that. I'm like, wow, this is crazy how people flip. Again, having talent, ask Anthony Lynn. Having talent is not the same thing as having a good coach. Not really even the same thing as having a good GM, to be honest, but still, mostly it's not the same as having a good coach. And it's not the same as having a good team. And so, yes, we have talent. Yes, I think Ryan Pace has qualities that I trust in the GM. But no, I don't think we should keep Matt Nagy. So anyway, go to the comment section. Let me know what you think. Share around, get the conversation started. And remember, stay up and bear down.